Your name was mentioned in a courtroom today, and what happened next will shock you. Archangel Michael says, today is not an ordinary day. A courtroom far away, filled with tense silence, echoed your name in a way that carried weight. Not as a passing mention, not as a mistake, but as part of a case that has deep consequences hidden beneath its surface. The atmosphere was heavy, every eye turning when the sound of your name broke through. Some faces tightened with fear, others with surprise, and a few with hidden satisfaction. That single moment has already shifted something around you in the spiritual and earthly realms. This case is not random. It connects to things that have been happening behind closed doors, in secret conversations, and in papers exchanged quietly. Yet, today, all of that was exposed under the authority of the law, and your name became tied to it in a way that can no longer be ignored. The judge leaned forward, the attorneys whispered among themselves, and a piece of truth began to crack through the layers of lies. What was meant to be hidden has now started to surface. Your destiny is being called into account, and heaven does not want you to miss what this means for you. Type Amen 333 to unlock this blessing flowing into your life now. The courtroom scene carried an energy unlike any ordinary legal battle. It wasn't only about evidence or arguments, it was about spiritual weight pressing down. Behind the lawyers, behind the words, there was something unseen moving with purpose. People sitting on the benches looked uneasy. Some shifted in their seats, others refused to make eye contact, but the truth was that they all knew something bigger was unfolding. Your name had awakened something, and nothing could silence it again. The case involved shocking revelations. What was brought forward made even the toughest officers lean in closer. It wasn't only about documents, it was about betrayal, hidden money, and a plan that almost trapped you without you realizing it. But the moment your name came up, light entered the darkness. It was as if heaven had waited for this moment to step into the room. What was supposed to destroy you began to turn into a testimony of your protection. Type Amen 555 to claim this shift into your favor. Archangel Michael says, you are being guarded even as this story unfolds. While enemies expected you to be pulled down, heaven is raising you higher. Your presence was mentioned not for condemnation, but for redemption, and this is what frightens those against you. The courtroom atmosphere thickened as papers were placed on the table. Each sheet carried details, signatures, and trails of hidden agendas. The shocking truth was this: someone had attempted to move your name into places that could have ruined your future. The lawyer standing on one side smirked, thinking everything was under control. But suddenly, a breakthrough moment happened. A piece of evidence that was supposed to vanish appeared in the judge's hand. That moment changed everything. Faces shifted instantly. Whispers filled the room. What had been built as a trap now turned back toward the one who said it. And your name, instead of being dragged, stood like a shielded flame, untouched by the chaos. Type Amen 111 to affirm that no weapon formed against you will prosper. This trial was more than legal. It was spiritual warfare spilling into the physical realm. You may not have been seated inside that courtroom, but your name carried your presence there. And Archangel Michael stood as your defender. People watching outside couldn't understand why things were unfolding so strangely. Every time someone tried to accuse, something blocked it. Every time a story twisted against you, light broke through, revealing the deception. Even those who were confident in lies began trembling. The case was turning in a direction no one expected, and those behind it couldn't stop what had begun. It was no longer in their hands. The courtroom became a place of divine revelation. Heaven's timing collided with Earth's system, and you became the center of attention in a battle much larger than human understanding. Type Amen 444 if you receive this covering over your name. The judge's voice carried authority. Every word spoken was recorded, but beyond the words was an unseen hand guiding the flow. No lie was allowed to remain hidden. The prosecutor shifted nervously, realizing the case had holes they could no longer patch. A witness stepped forward, someone unexpected, and their testimony broke open truths no one wanted to hear. Your name, once meant to be dragged, was instead protected. It became the key that unlocked exposure. Those who thought they were in control found themselves trapped by their own schemes. In the silence that followed, all eyes were fixed, knowing something irreversible had happened. Justice was no longer delayed, it had arrived. Type Amen 222 if you stand under this justice today. My friend, this is not the end, it is the beginning of exposure. Every hidden hand working against you is now being revealed. Every plan in the shadows is being pulled into the light. Archangel Michael says, this moment is a turning point. While others sit in fear of what will be uncovered, you are sitting under divine favor. The courtroom was not against you, it became the place where your enemies were unmasked. But here is the deeper truth. This case does not stop here. What started today will ripple into the coming weeks. Conversations will shift, papers will be signed, and names will be recorded in ways that seal destinies. And your name will carry honor, because heaven has placed its seal upon it. Type Amen 999 to align yourself with this sealing over your life. Archangel Michael says, the courtroom scene did not just carry your name, it carried the weight of your story. This was not a random inclusion, it was tied to experiences you've lived, the battles you fought, and the mistakes people thought you made. Archangel Michael says, the moment was divine, it was timed perfectly. No one could have planned it better. The truth was arriving right on schedule, cutting through deception like a sword. The woman who once smiled at you in public, pretending to support you, lowered her head. Her involvement was about to be called out, and she couldn't hide anymore. Her silence was louder than her words, and the court noticed. At that point, a name closely tied to yours was read aloud. Gasps filled the room, people exchanging glances, realizing that what was once a secret alliance had turned into evidence of betrayal. Your story was now at the center of the revelation. The shocking truth was this: someone you once shared meals with, someone you trusted with personal matters, had signed against you in secret. But now, those signatures were exposed under the light of justice. Type Amen 999 if you believe no hidden betrayal can stand against you. A hush fell across the courtroom. No one wanted to move. It was as if the walls themselves were listening, holding in a truth that could no longer be silenced. The man sitting at the far end of the bench leaned back, sighing heavily. He knew his name would be called next, and the weight of his lies was already suffocating him. People who once thought they could escape accountability were now trapped by the very system they tried to manipulate. What made this moment personal was the energy surrounding your name. It wasn't about guilt, it was about survival. It was about the universe making sure your identity was not dragged into mud but cleansed by exposure. The case was no longer just paperwork, it had become spiritual warfare in motion. And your name stood in the center of it all, but shielded with protection only heaven could provide. Type Amen 555 if you feel this shield over your life now. The judge's hammer struck the desk lightly, silencing the whispers. His eyes were firm, but there was something unusual about the way he looked at your name written on the file. It wasn't with condemnation, it was with weight, as if even he knew this moment was bigger than the courtroom. The prosecutor tried to argue, his voice rising, but words failed him. Every sentence he pushed forward seemed weaker than the last. He was cornered by the truth, unable to build the lies further. One final twist broke through, the hidden recording. It was played aloud, and voices everyone recognized filled the room. In those recordings, your name was mentioned, but not in guilt, rather, in plots to set you up. The shock hit like a wave. No one expected such evidence to surface, not in this hearing, not in this moment. But it did, and everything changed instantly. Type Amen 444 to declare that every hidden trap is now revealed. Archangel Michael says, your name carries weight in realms you don't even see. That is why it cannot be easily dragged down by lies. When it was mentioned in that courtroom, it wasn't destruction, it was deliverance. The courtroom atmosphere became electric. People exchanged glances nervously, and even the strongest voices of opposition fell silent. They realized a greater force was at work. This was no ordinary trial anymore. It became personal for everyone in the room, especially for those who thought they had you cornered. Their arrogance melted into fear, because the very case they built was now collapsing. And as your name lingered in the air, you were rising, protected, lifted, covered. What was meant to shame you became the doorway to your vindication. Type Amen 111 to accept your vindication today. The courtroom doors creaked as another witness entered, their footsteps echoing against the polished floor. Every eye turned, every breath held, as if the entire room knew this person carried words that could end everything. When they looked up and their gaze brushed the file containing your name, a ripple of fear ran through those who had plotted against you. The moment was tense. This witness had been silent for years, refusing to speak, but now, under oath, they had no choice. Their words came slowly at first, but each sentence cut deeper into the web of deception, exposing names, details, and actions long thought buried. And then it came, your name again. Not in blame, not in accusation, but as proof of your innocence. This testimony shifted the entire weight of the case, placing your enemies under the very spotlight they had once prepared for you. The courtroom murmured with disbelief. Papers shuffled, attorneys exchanged glances, and the judge leaned forward, realizing the tide had completely turned. Type Amen 333 if you believe the tide is turning in your life now. Archangel Michael says, your presence was not needed in that courtroom, your name carried enough power. Even without you speaking a single word, justice found its way. Your silence became louder than your enemy's noise. The witness continued, their voice trembling, but the truth rolled out like thunder. They revealed how documents were forged, how meetings were held behind closed doors, and how your name was dragged into places you never stepped. Each detail struck like lightning, illuminating lies no one could hide from. The woman on the front bench, the one who avoided your eyes, now covered her face. She could no longer pretend. Everyone saw it, her guilt was exposed in that moment, her role undeniable. Your name became the dividing line. It separated truth from lies, innocence from corruption. And the very sound of it was like a sword cutting chains that were once wrapped around you. Type Amen 222 if you believe chains are breaking off your name right now. The judge cleared his throat, his tone shifting to stern authority. This case is no longer what it was presented to be, he declared, and the entire courtroom leaned in. The gavel was not yet struck, but destiny had already spoken. The prosecutor tried again, stammering about misunderstood details, but even his voice carried no conviction. Everyone in the room knew the truth could not be undone. What was hidden had come to light, and there was no turning back. You weren't just mentioned, you were vindicated. The same courtroom that could have destroyed your name became the platform where it was cleared and lifted. The shift was so sudden, it left everyone stunned. Archangel Michael says, "This is your time of reversal. What was meant for your downfall has now become the foundation of your rise." Type Amen 999 if you receive this reversal into your life. The twist deepened when a hidden financial record was revealed. It bore signatures, dates, and details that connected your betrayers directly to the corruption. And instead of linking you to guilt, it proved you were the one they targeted, the one they tried to use as cover. The courtroom erupted in murmurs again. Shock was painted on faces as people realized the story they believed about you was false all along. The truth was sharper, stronger, undeniable. The attorney who once smirked at your name now trembled, wiping sweat from his forehead. His confidence was gone. His lies had no place to stand anymore. And you, though absent from the courtroom, were present in every word, every revelation. The universe made sure your story was told, and heaven made sure your name was cleared. Type Amen 555 to accept that heaven is fighting battles on your behalf. A silence fell again, but it was no longer heavy with accusation, it was heavy with justice. The energy shifted completely. You were no longer the one being questioned, you were the one being defended. People whispered about how strange it was. Why did this come out now, they asked. But deep down, everyone knew, it was divine timing. The truth had waited for the perfect moment to reveal itself. The judge leaned back, staring at the guilty ones. He saw through their trembling, their excuses, their fading strength. He knew the case had changed forever. And Archangel Michael says, "This is how heaven works, quietly, suddenly, completely." When your name is mentioned, it will no longer carry shame, but honor. Type Amen 444 if you stand under this covering of honor now.